Sitshow and get Jeff on the camera. Yes, welcome everybody to the Starter Sit Show with Krisko. I'm Evan Hoovler, but you're here to see Jeff. Jeff, how are you doing today?
Good morning. I'm doing well. This morning's podcast or stream is brought to you by Celsius. We had one of those in the fridge.
You know
So
what people do that bothers me that they do a lot lately is they'll pop into our Discord, and I love that they pop into the Discord, and it's totally fine. But they'll be like asking for a friend, and they'll ask a normal fantasy football question. And I'm used to asking for a friend to mean you're going to say something hilariously obscene. So every time I'm like, "Where's the joke? What's going on here?"
asking for a friend, definitely not me. Do I start David Montgomery? Like, okay,
Yeah,
cool.
like where you're supposed to say something dirty, like what do you think Rashawn's helmet smells like, or something? You know?
Ooh, well, Roshan's helmet smells like he's gonna be the RB2 this week because Diontae Foreman is a healthy scratch.
Yep.
Oh, how you like that? That's a professional
Gosh,
transition. What makes it more professional is calling it out. So we have let's see, we have 8 injury reports so far. Let's run through those real
oh
quick.
nice. I will update that in the description while you say
Oh,
it.
I thought Cordarrelle Patterson was expected to play for the Falcons, but he is out. He is nothing more than a stash candidate this week, so nothing too crazy there. Deonta Foreman, like I mentioned, he's a healthy scratch. Chase Claypool is going to play, even though they expected him not to play because he did not care last week. Um,
It's
so
too sad to play football.
so that's a Roshan Johnson. It's to quote the kids, that's a Roshan Johnson tweet. He should be the RB2 in this one. For the Packers, Aaron Jones is out as expected. David Bakhtiari, offensive tackle, is also out, as is Christian Watson. But Christian Watson and Aaron Jones were announced yesterday, so you should already have made those roster switches. For the Texans, Laramie Tunsil, Jalen Petrie, and Jimmy Ward are the um, meaningful inactives, which if you notice, that's 2 safeties and an offensive tackle. So
At
there's no
what
roster
point
moves.
at what point does Damian Pierce become like start at your own risk?
Week 1 of 2023.
Yeah, true.
I we were all the way out on the podcast on well, I was on Damian Pierce. He was a volume merchant last year, which is a term that just kind of popped up last week for us. He was a volume merchant where he traded on just being the only guy on the football field, and last week he played less than or fewer than half the snaps. So that's trouble. And it's not like, oh, now we can start Devin Singletary or whoever, Mike Boone, who is a healthy scratch this week. It's a hey, maybe Damian Pierce isn't going to be the solid running back too. He's probably going to be more of a boom bust flex for you.
We have a
Um,
question before we keep going with inactives. Corn G
no,
007. Pick two, half PPR. Lockett or Miles Sanders or Rashad White?
um, I am all the way out on Rashad White, so let's roll Lockett and Sanders. Rashad White is he's like he's an okay play. I do like the Lions to bounce back this week a little bit. Rashad White, Lockett is, flip a coin. I prefer Lockett. But Miles Sanders I have him as a guy that you should definitely be starting this week as he goes up against the Saints. Tough matchup, but we saw last week that they want to get him the ball a lot. He had over 20 touches last week.
I
So
watched every single. I lost Jeff again. I watched every single Roshan Johnson touch in the offseason, and then I went back and watched it again because I couldn't believe how bad he looked.
he's not good. I don't understand this idea that he's like really good. As I was ranting and raving against Damian Pierce, one of the guys who took like 20% of snaps last week, Mike Boone, is a healthy scratch. So he probably is going to get more touches today. Probably can slot Damian Pierce into your lineup as a low end running back too or a flex. For the Colts, nobody of note is missing the game unless you're a big Sam Ellinger fan. For the Chiefs, LaMichael Pirine is out, which means Travis Kelce is officially active. That player is good at football. That tight end for the Chiefs. You start him. Don't worry about it. For the Vikings, they already played. For the Buccaneers, Keyshawn Vaughn is a healthy scratch. Kalijah Cansey, Carlton Davis are out. That's a defensive tackle and a cornerback. So that means that who are they playing this week? That means that Justin Fields should have a decent game this week. You've seen this guy, Justin Fields, pretty good. For the Titans, Will Levis is a scratch. Other than that, it's Peter Skoronski, who was sick earlier this week, so we kind of expected him to be out. We do have, I hit refresh, a couple more inactives that have popped up. For the Ravens, they will be without Marlon Humphrey, as well as Tyler Linderbaum and Ronnie Stanley. So that's that's their best corner, who didn't play last week either, and then 40% of their offensive line. But Mark Andrews is active. You also start that guy. For the Lions, Taylor Decker is the only notable inactive. And for the Jags, Elijah Cooks, JaMychal Hasty, inactives. Doesn't matter too much. For the Chargers, Austin Ekeler is officially inactive. So fire up your Josh Kellys as low-end RB2s or flexes. Las Vegas Raiders, Chandler Jones, Jakobi Meyers, both officially inactive. Both were announced yesterday. And then that is it right now. That's where we're sitting for inactive. So just kind of chilling for right now.
Yeah.
I have a question. Do we have any questions? Not yet. I have a question for you, Evan.
Oh my God.
I have a question for you.
What is it?
What's up with this? Do you think about Rome as much as people say guys do? Because I don't think about Rome.
No.
I think about Greece.
I mean, everyone thinks of everything every day, so I'm sure like Rome flits through my mind tangentially every day. But you could ask me, do you think about hydraulic physics once a day? I'd be like, yeah, probably.
You think about doing the Holocaust again? every day?
It just flits through my mind tangentially.
Every day?
I'm not a fan of women named Linda.
Oh, whoa. Okay, I was gonna say let's be careful. Before anybody asks, no, I'm not wearing a Steelers jersey. This is a George Kittle Iowa Hawkeyes jersey that my wife's cousin got me. And it is the only 49er jersey I have left. Because everybody else is gone. I have Trey Lance, Jimmy Garoppolo, they gone. I have a Quan Alexander, he gone. I have a Navarro Bowman, he retired. I think that's it actually. So this is the last 49ers jersey I have left. Tony says he thinks about Sublime with Rome daily. I think about Rome by the B-52s daily.
I thought about that yesterday.
Yeah. I made a good history joke for everybody, which was thinking about Rome, and it was a picture of I believe it's Constantine, but it's the Byzantine Empire, which they were like, no, we're totally Rome, and they were. So that's a deep joke. That's a deep cut. All right, we got a question in the chat, Evan.
Is it afternoon for Minnie? Isn't it like 4:45 over there?
That's afternoon.
Okay, fair enough. It technically is afternoon.
It's after. Wait. Hold on. What do you mean it's technically afternoon? It's afternoon, and it's not yet. When does evening start for you?
It depends upon the time of year. At 4:45 here, it's dark. So
it's dark in September at 4:45.
No, actually, it's more like 6. But
okay, yeah,
December,
I know you're
it's like 4 o'clock. You're like it's lights out time.
Oh yeah. Okay, that's the correct answer. Okay, people are like 5:30. It's like no.
Hey, I got the time right.
You got the what?
Time right.
Hey, there you go. So question from Minnie is Sam Laporta or George Kittle. They're both good starts this week. I do think that with George Kittle, you are playing on the fact that the Niners are probably going to do what they always do, which is destroy the Los Angeles Rams, who, despite last week, do not have a good defense. With Laporta, you're banking on what happened last week, which was being destroyed by the Rams is what is going to be going forward. But in that game last week, Tyler Higbee was not all that, nor did he have a bag of chips. I would say they're both good starts, but I would roll with Kittle over Sam Laporta this week. And that's not homerism. Last week I said to do Hate Crime Higbee over Kittle, and I was right. So I'm going to roll Kittle this week. He scores a touchdown. He had like 8 touchdowns in 9 games with Brock Purdy last year. So I think he scores a touchdown in this game.
Nice. And I apologize. Jeff keeps flitting on and off camera. Sorry about that.
It's okay. Nobody wants to look at me.
It's a YouTube interface issue.
Come
So
on, YouTube, get it together.
yeah, you're welcome, Minnie. Who did you pick in your Survivor leagues this week?
I picked the New York Football Giants against the Arizona Cardinals.
Interesting.
I did go against one of my rules, which is I try not to pick low over unders because of the weirdness factor. But there's a lot of weird stuff going on, and I'm trying to keep my powder dry on the bigger teams.
A lot of people
Hey,
went
Minnie also picked the Giants.
nice. A lot of people went Dallas over the Jets.
Not me.
I
Not
went.
around.
I
Not
went.
around here, partner.
I went with Detroit against Seattle.
Okay, that was one I was considering.
Seattle
We
looked
got a
like
question.
garbage.
We got a question from You Know the Deal. Mahomes coming off a loss, and today's his birthday. He's gonna smash with Kelce, right? Yes. Last week was a fluke. I will say it. And Steven Johnson's back. Hayden Hurst call. I felt so good about Hayden Hurst last week. I was so happy when he scored a ton of fantasy points for you. I was happier with that than any of my my leagues.
Nice. I see. I had Tua in Dallas in a lot of leagues, so I ended up cramering my way to victory despite bad stuff.
I had Tua. So my home league converted to a 2 quarterback dynasty league this year, and I have Tua and Justin Herbert. So that game was a lot of fun for me because I was like, yes, now you need points. Now you need points. Now you need points.
Well, the points will keep coming with the New York Jets facing Dallas. The New York Jets kicker got injured on Thursday, and they signed a guy yesterday.
Oh no! Update the ranks. Update the ranks, Evan. We got some questions in the chat.
Yep, we want to know. Minnie wants to know half PPR, Gabe versus Las Vegas, Bourne versus Miami, or Zay versus the Bengals.
Well, let's see. Zay versus the Bengals, Bourne versus Miami, Gabe versus Vegas. This is a really hard one because I think all these guys are going to be very boom bust. So I'm gonna say, ooh, this is tough. I'm gonna say no to Gabe Davis because that whole receiver behind Stephon Diggs thing is it's a real cluster. And then I'm gonna say that I would probably go Bourne over Zay Flowers, but both are good starts. Both are good starts. Busty booms.
Yeah.
How come I don't have access to put stuff on the screen? I would like to put Minnie saying I do like Busty booms on the screen. Tony threatened my life. Started Rashee Rice in a DFS lineup if he doesn't score 10 points. This is on me and Walker. Don't worry about it. I ain't worried about it.
Should I put the comments on the screen?
If you want to.
Next week.
I just want something to do other than sit here and play with my mouse.
Well, you can give us fantasy football
advice. Start the good players. Don't start the bad players.
But which players are good?
Jordan Addison.
One question we're getting a lot is Puka versus some other mediocre wide receiver. And I keep telling people, I'm like, just when it's that close, play with your new toy. Like, that's more fun.
Well, this is what I said on Twitter this week, which is and on the podcast, which is if you already have a load-bearing Puka Nacua, you're already in trouble. You drafted Puka Nacua to stash him to see what happens. Yes, he was amazing last week. He also had 15 targets. He's also I know Tutu Atwell also had as many yards as he did. But he's also the defender the receiver that's most likely to get Mooney Wardle game. And you're probably looking at 5 for 60, like wide receiver 3, maybe flex. We already saw the best of Puka Nacua last week. And if we chase that, he's hurt going against the 49ers, then you're in trouble.
Here's one that I already have the answer for, but I'll let you answer. Half PPR, McKinnon versus Jacksonville or Roshan versus Green Bay?
I would go with Roshan. McKinnon is with the usage that we saw in week 1 against the Lions, where it was kind of CEH played a lot more snaps than I anticipated. I figured he'd probably get around 15% of snaps, but it was almost like that's where Jerick McKinnon went. I would keep Jerick McKinnon on your bench for now until we see something from him.
But you had him in your cut article.
Yeah, I mean, if you can cut him if you want to. So my cut article isn't like go out of your way to cut these guys, and I say that in your intro. I'm saying these are guys you can cut. And Jerick McKinnon is a guy that you can cut. I mean, I saw he's available in one of my leagues. I didn't go pick him up. I'll go pick him up in late October.
I've decided I need to pick a guy every year and just keep arguing for him, even though it may fly against all logic. And this year it's Jerick McKinnon. Here's my logic. Jerick McKinnon got 1 target, and the Chiefs lost. So if they don't want to lose, they should target him 10 times as much.
Nope, that's an argument for Rashee Rice, who scored the only offensive touchdown or the only passing touchdown last week. Who scored it?
Rashee Rice. Minnie says exactly what Evan is saying. Lol, feed McKinnon. Yep.
Did he only have 1 passing touchdown? No, he had 2 passing touchdowns.
It
was a trick. No, Patrick Mahomes. Who had the other one? Oh yeah, Blake Bell, the Belldozer. That's right.
Blake Bell. Should we be picking up our Blake Bells?
No.
Should we have more randomness in Kansas City's passing offense?
No. We should not. All right, so we got another question from Tony. Tony in the chat says, pick 3 of the 5. Terry McLaurin versus Denver, James Conner versus the Giants, Elijah Moore versus Pittsburgh, Josh Kelly versus Tennessee, and Zay Jones versus Kansas City. See, Elijah Moore is the tough one here because if no Amari Cooper, who's a questionable, he popped up late in the week with a core injury, which is what he had surgery on in the offseason, that Elijah Moore is going to have a big game because he and DPJ will be the only wide receivers. I would say,
but he plays on Monday Night Football, so we won't have that information.
Yeah, that's the hard part. I would say McLaurin versus Denver is a yes. Connor versus the Giants is a yes. And then I would, if you need floor, I'd go Josh Kelly. If you need ceiling, I would go Zay Jones. Personally, I would say Josh Kelly, because he has, he's going to take over the Austin Ekeler role, which means he's going to get goal line carries. So he has the best chance of a touchdown. So I would go McLaurin, Connor, and Josh Kelly. McLaurin in the don't sit your studs discussion. He's like a wide receiver too. So,
do we have any more injury reports?
I think that's everybody playing in the early game. Let me see. So let's see. All right. So Falcons, Ravens, Bills. Nobody of note was inactive, except it's very fishy. DeMar Hamlin, the clone, isn't ready to play football yet. Very fishy. He's not playing. Maybe because he was on the roster bubble last year to begin with. But I'm gonna make a conspiracy out of nothing. Please don't ban us, YouTube. Never mind. Forget I said anything. Joke parody in the game. Everybody. Oh, here Seahawks. This one's new. Jamal Adams inactive. Both their. Oh wait, hold on. Hold the phone. Charles Cross is the only tackle that's inactive. Unless they put Lucas on IR, that's a good sign. Hold on. Let me look into this. Please hold. He went on IR. He went on IR earlier this week. That's why he's not on the injury report. So Seattle without both their tackles. So God bless the Detroit Lions.
Aiden Hutchinson's going to make them go nuts.
Yeah. Aiden Hutchinson, more like Eaton Hutchinson, because he's going to kill Geno Smith and then eat him. Oh my God. Word on the street is Amari Cooper is very unlikely to play. That's usually what you see with a late week injury designation, especially for something like a core muscle injury that Amari Cooper had surgery on in the offseason. So, um, yeah, I think that yeah, I would probably still lean away from Elijah Moore, but it's a lot closer between him and Josh Kelly. Dang, I don't like this. I'm seeing how far my hairline's receded because I have a TV as my monitor next to me, which is why I keep turning my head to read comments. I do not like this. I do not like this, Sam. I am.
Was your mom's dad bald?
No.
That's what they asked on the Thursday Night Farce Ball, and I've heard that correlation. But my mom's dad was bald by the time he was 25, and I'm 45, and I'm rocking it. I don't quite get it's clearly not one-to-one correlation.
But what about your mom's dad?
I think he died before 25, just based on odds.
Just based on the math.
Average life expectancy 150 years
Lived
ago.
a long. He had a long, full quarter
Yeah,
century on the earth.
yeah. Let's
I'm
see.
listening. I'm listening to this Empire podcast, and they started talking about like I listened through all of the it was about the partition in India and like the Raj and all that stuff in India. That was season 1. And then season 2 they started talking about the Ottoman Empire, and they were like, yeah, this guy's like was like 26 and he hadn't like conquered anybody yet. He was basically, everybody was wondering if he was going to do anything with his life. It's like, damn. All right, chill.
Wow. I got to make it to 45 before I decided I had to do something with my life.
I will never do something with my life, my ass. I will never do something with.
You're doing something right now. You're providing a great resource to the masses that want to get more joy out of their fantasy football experience.
I guess so.
Where's your parade?
I'm of the firm belief that nothing that we do matters on fantasy football. It's all a distraction.
Where,
Um,
where's your? Well, that's the point. There's a lot of people get mixed up, and it doesn't stay a distraction. They get all worked up about winning and losing, and it's like, did you enjoy football more because you have a fantasy team? Yes, then you won. It doesn't matter what the score was. That's the whole
yeah,
point. And stuff. It's also why, and I don't begrudge anybody who does, but it's also why I stay away from players that have questionable real world circumstances. Like I don't want to look at Jonathan Taylor and have to wonder what are the odds he ends up in Jim Irsay's trunk this week. That kind of yucks my fantasy football experience. So I don't begrudge people who do that, but same with Deshaun Watson. I'm like, you can own him. I don't care.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I subscribe to the long slog to the rigor mortis corollary, or I don't know if it's a corollary. It wouldn't be a corollary. It'd be a long slog to rigor mortis rule, which is effectively wild podcast had a somebody asked about um effectively wild, which is a baseball podcast. Somebody asked about, like one of the better teams in the league didn't make the playoffs. Does this like invalidate the playoffs? And there was a whole rant about how the point of sports is distraction, not about who to figure out the best is. And I will just read, like, I would like to read that because it's one of my favorite quotes. This is Sam Miller from Effectively Wild. The whole point of this entire enterprise is to entertain us with baseball games. The point of it is not to decide who is the best team. The illusion that that is what we are doing has long been a powerful draw to sports, but it is ultimately not the point. There is no scenario where the universe will care or remember who the best team was out of this collection of collections. It only matters in as much as we create this illusion that it matters. If you lose even the illusion, then it becomes problematic. But the point is not to have the illusion. The point is to entertain people and make them forget that we are all dying right in front of each other. That this is just this horrible, rotten slog to rigor mortis, that we are going to lose everybody we know, that we are going to lose everything we have. And the only way to distract ourselves is by separating our day into distractions.
That got dark.
And well, that's why it's called the long slog to rigor mortis quote. This is all a distraction. So have fun with it. I think people do go too crazy, but yeah, have fun with it. If you lose, oh well. I can't remember the last time I got mad about fantasy sport. Well, actually I can, but it's mostly because I make a call for somebody else and then it's wrong. But for my own
Yeah,
teams,
that's the
you
only
know,
time is when I'm like, I may have
I mean,
cost that person enjoyment. We have an
I mean,
Evan. We have an Evan in the chat with a question. It's not
Ev-
me with a pseudonym.
we're real quick before I answer any more questions. I need lots of good vibes today because I am in my fantasy baseball finals. It is the
Oh,
last day of the season, so I need lots of good vibes, please. Thank you, please, and thank you. I need the or not the Texans. I need the Astros to crush the Royals, and I need and I need the Padres to crush the A's, which should be
don't the
pretty
Royals
easy.
have like 102 losses?
They're pretty bad. What's funny is I follow baseball so closely, but I never look at the standings because I
Okay.
mostly follow fantasy baseball and I follow effectively wild, which is doesn't like say, all right, this team's in first or whatever. Yeah, the Royals have 101 losses and the A's have 102. So needing a team to beat up on the Royals and another team to beat up on the A's is a pretty good position to be in.
Yes. Okay, I can't keep an Evan waiting any longer. Half PPR flex. D Hop or Joshua Kelly?
I would stay with DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins is, he's a solid at worst wide receiver too, even with the ankle injury. If he plays, he'll be fine. And Josh Kelly, like I said, low end boom bust are running back too. And Tony says, so since we're all dying in front of each other, maybe I should go with Zay Jones versus Kansas City. You've answered your own question, Tony.
Oh my God.
What remember last season the mantra of the Discord was to go with your gut.
No.
So if you want to go with Zay or trust your gut or whatever, trust yourself. If you want to start Zay Jones, go for it.
I thought the mantra of last season was go zero RB.
No, don't ever go zero RB. Ever. Don't ever come to me saying to go zero RB. I will fist fight you.
Whoa.
You could go hero RB, which is something that I like to do, but if you go zero RB, I mean, wake up. Grab a brush, put on a little makeup.
I kind of went zero RB in my big money league. I'm starting Javonte Williams and B Rob.
Well, sometimes you
That's more
accidentally go
Euro
zero.
RB though. Where
More
I'm like, can you
Euro
guys,
RB?
yeah, can you guys
Yeah.
piece together 15 points a week combined so I can the
Mm,
rest of my team can crush?
yeah, that's in my home dynasty league in a startup. I didn't like go out big on running backs. So I think my running backs are David Montgomery and I don't even remember who my second running back is that I'm starting this week. Oh, James Cook. Let's go. I didn't want to spend up on running back early in a dynasty. I do have Alvin Kamara, so starting in week 4, I'll be on cruise control. And I have to call my dog because I hear her whining downstairs, so I'm going to mute really quick.
Cool. And I'm gonna look up when the Jets play the Cowboys. Sorry, yes, because that one's gonna be fun. I hope
Oh, that wasn't her whining. She's behind me. It must have been the neighbor
125.
dog.
Wow. I had a vamp already and everything. It
And it
wasn't
was for nothing.
it wasn't a very good one. So
Vamp if you want to. Um, since last week we got a request for dog pictures. Let me see if this one's saved. So my wife is visiting my in-laws right now, and the puppy was being obnoxious. So she got locked outside, and this was the picture of it. So let's see if this works. Did it work? Can Evan show the my screen? Could Evan share my screen?
oh, okay, I have to go. Hold on. Go here and bring this up. Watch stream. There it is.
Sad puppy.
Now it's
She
your
got
sleeper.
locked outside during dinner. And let's see what else. Here's her in the planter box that I made for my wife. Uh, here she is being a weirdo on the
No,
couch.
you have your sleeper open.
Oh, wrong screen. Oh well. Shut it off.
Okay.
I'm out. All right. Yes. One guy in my home league, one of my buddies, Pete, he turns on red zone super early and he just like leaves it on.
So it's just the music.
He just leaves it on. Like I
But
went to his I went to his house during football season a couple years ago, and I know it was a bit, but he had it on in the garage on like Friday. He was like, "I'm just getting ready for Sunday."
oh wow, what is it showing on Friday? Like, is it just showing the music or nothing?
It's just a screen that says like NFL Red Zone or Red Zone from NFL Network, every touchdown from every game, every Sunday afternoon during the regular season, NFL.com/Red Zone, NFL Network logo, and it has just like music playing.
Huh.
But he has like a garage TV, and he just had it going on his garage TV. Like, let's go. Let's go.
Where are you watching the games today?
My living room.
Cool.
Except for I'm gonna watch the Niners game at my buddy's house. Then I'm gonna go back to my living room so I can write the cut candidates and the absurdity check.
When is the Niners game?
1:00.
Cool.
Oh,
I'll probably go
nutcracker.
over I'll watch the Ravens game with my sons, and then I'll go over to my mom's. My mom, I got her into fantasy football this year. She's into it, so I'll watch it with her. She doesn't like Red
Who
Zone
was?
Channel though.
Huh?
She doesn't like Red Zone Channel though.
I get that. It's very hectic.
Yeah.
It's very much the you know like the important plays, but you don't know the ins and outs of one game. Like Draw Play Dave, who does the Draw Play podcast or comic, used to do the podcast as well. He hates Red Zone because of the like you don't know the like ins and outs of one game. You just kind of just get deluged with information.
It's like doing a line of Coke and watching a regular football game to me, where I'm like, everything is
What if
amazing. This is
what if you did
amazing.
what if you did a line of Coke and watched Red Zone?
Your heart would explode. Don't do that. Good Lord.
Good Lord.
I'm not gonna find out.
Uh, are we gonna? Do we have no questions? Wow, nobody wants our help, huh? Oh, here we go. We got another one. Mini P. Oh God. Mini P has a DST question.
Detroit versus Seattle, Chargers versus Tennessee, Miami or New versus Tennessee. Then it's just
But
my
I probably should say Miami versus New England.
yeah, Miami
And
versus
Colt.
New England, Colts versus Houston, Washington versus Broncos. This
Oh
doesn't
my
matter to
God.
him because defensive matter.
My God. I'm gonna say.
See, I
What
feel
are
like
they again?
Detroit versus Seattle. I feel like that one has a very high floor because of the sacks. Uh, Chargers versus Tennessee, Miami versus New England, Colts versus Houston, Washington versus Broncos.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't like Detroit because that could turn into a high scoring game if the Seahawks get their act together. Chargers versus Tennessee. I mean, that could also be a high scoring game. I'm probably gonna go Colts versus Houston because of the CJ Stroud factor and because the Colts scored a it was a dumb defensive touchdown last week, but I think they could have as many sacks as the Lions do today.
Mike says Colts rule. Hey, Mike.
Mike, come back to the podcast. Mike's been on expedition.
Steven Johnson wants to know, I have Tony on my bench. Do I pop him directly into the bin and pick up Tajay Spears?
Depends on what you need. I think Tony and Tajay kind of have similar upside. I would probably go with Tajay just because even if Tony does show out this week, there's no guarantee he'll do it next week. And Tajay played more snaps than actually, you know what? Screw it. I'm gonna stay with Tony. Stay with the good offense. I feel really bad about the Titans this year.
We have a lot of questions coming in here. I'm going to try to keep track of all of them.
We got which
Blob tied his question.
oh boy, Blobs. We starting Hayden Hurst, let's see. Hold on, I'm gonna see Hayden Hurst versus the Saints, or this is gonna be slow going because I'm looking up Zach Ertz versus the Giants, or Chigakonkwo versus the Chargers, Luke Musgrave versus the Falcons, or Logan Thomas versus the Broncos. You are right. These are all crappy blob guys. I would go with either. So, I'm not sure if Hurst was good last week because Hurst is going to be good, or if Hurst was good last week because the Falcons are terrible against tight ends. I'm going to lean on it being the Falcons being terrible against tight ends. Also, Hurst does get the Saints this week, who shut down Chigakonkwo last week. The Chargers, it's hard to tell. I was mentioning this on the podcast this week. It's hard to tell if the Chargers are going to get are they a bad wide receiver defense, or did they go up against Tyreek Hill? Like, that's one of those things that happens. And then in that game, Durham Smythe also ate, but I think that had a Tyreek Hill factor. I'm going to say that I don't feel great about any of these guys. If you want a guy that's going to get a ton of targets, but you're not sure how he's going to perform with those targets, I would say Zach Ertz. He leads all tight ends. Well, before Thursday Night Football, he led all tight ends in targets. He had 10 last week. He also did basically what Dallas Goedert did, which was 6 for 20. I think he had 6 for 21. So I would say Musgrave. No, Evan, you didn't answer the. But if you want the upside, you would say Luke Musgrave, because I think that this Falcons tight end defense is going to be terrible. Sorry, I'm distracted by my cat.
How many animals are in the room with you right now?
Both of them.
I thought you had 2 dogs.
The other ones. Wow, Evan, really listening. My wife's visiting the in-laws, and she took the puppy with her.
Oh yeah, I'm not listening at all.
So that
it's not my job.
So that she could hang out in the forest.
Thank you, Griff Zero. Thank you.
Yeah.
And keep the questions coming. We're here for you. That was a fun little swing there of questions.
Yeah.
I don't know. Why is it not giving me? Whoops. No. What the heck? What's going on?
Evan's falling apart. Evan's dying. Everybody.
How do I stop watching your stream?
I'm very proud of everybody not having Joe Burrow questions, because last week was just a burn the tape game. Just whatever happened last week does not matter.
And Jeff is back.
Oh, was I not? Was I not? Oh God, what is going on?
It's fixed. Regarding Joe Burrow, last year in week 1, he had 4 interceptions and lost 2 fumbles, and still finished the year as the 4th highest scoring fantasy football player.
Is that bad? By the way, Lions by 75. Calvin Johnson's in the building.
Nice. Is he gonna play?
Is he gonna play?
He could be a decoy, like all those fantasy bust weeks.
Dude, Calvin Johnson's like a businessman now.
Tony wants to know. Tony wants to know: are the Raiders a competent team, or is Denver really just that bad?
I think they're competent. Jimmy Garoppolo is a high floor player insofar as he'll get his weapons the ball. But also Denver is that bad.
Minnie P wants to know half PPR: Bourne versus Miami, Kirk versus Kansas City, Thielen versus New Orleans. Which one, if any, over Shaheed versus Panthers or Debo versus Rams? So I'm just going to summarize that real quick. Pick 2, half PPR: Bourne, Kirk, Thielen, Shaheed, Debo.
Debo is a start. Kirk, if you believe in him, I think he'll have a squeaky wheel game, but I don't know how much that's going to matter because he was way not involved last week. Like Travis Etienne had more snaps out or ran more routes outside than Christian Kirk did.
They're playing Kansas City too, so it has the potential to be just a barn burner.
That's true. I would say no to Thielen. Who are the Saints playing? The Saints are playing
Minnesota. No, that's right. I'm stupid.
I would say that because they're going to be tired from playing on Thursday. If it's Saints versus Minnesota, I would definitely go with that. Saints are playing Carolina. Oh, no JC Horn. I'll go Shaheed and Debo.
So the answer to your question is no. All
Yeah, I
right.
would go. I would go Shaheed and Debo. Shaheed is close. Shaheen, Bourne, Kirk are all in this like group. Go with your gut. Rashid Shaheed was definitely involved last week, and then there was the NFL Films video where Derek Carr is like, "I want one more shot with Rashid." Um,
Griff says Evan answered this in the Discord last night. But for anyone else wondering, yeah, you should always ask again when you ask me a question on Saturday night because I don't even remember what my answer was. All right, so it's good that you just remembered that to ask again. PPR, Kelly or Flowers?
mm, I'm gonna do the cop out and say Kelly for floor, Flowers for ceiling. Flowers had a lot of targets last week. But there was also no Mark Andrews, but at the same time, there's also no good running backs. Like no J.K. Dobbins this week. So I would say Kelly for the floor and Flowers for the ceiling.
All right, and we have another blob tied in question. Uh, Okonkwo, Thomas, or Ertz over Pitts? So Okonkwo, Thomas, Ertz, or Pitts? Half PPR.
I They have to throw the ball more this week. They're not going to win against Green Bay not throwing the ball. So I'm going to say Kyle Pitts.
And then George Play says JSN or Zay Jones?
Um, JSN. Neither one's a great start, but I'll go with the talent and goes JSN.
And Seattle's going to have to throw to keep up with Detroit.
And not only that, they could both easily be the third option on their team this week. Like it could be a situation where it's some games are Christian Kirk games, some games are Zay Jones games, and we won't know until kickoff. So.
Yeah. Bye, Mini.
Bye, Mini.
Half PPR.
Thanks for watching.
Half PPR, JSN, Jalen Warren, or Kyren Williams?
Ooh, that is. So I'm sorry, I'm looking at the matchup. So Kyron's playing San Francisco, Warren's playing Cleveland, and JSN is playing Detroit. I will probably go with Kyren Williams because he is a better running back than Cam Akers. And the whole thing that had Jalen Warren being somebody that we're considering starting this week is what he did against the Niners last week. So if they just have Kyren Williams do that, then we'll be happy. But this is a tough one. None of them are great starts.
Nope. What else is going on? We had a flurry of questions there. Who's your favorite college football team?
I don't really watch college football, but I'll say the Hawkeyes.
What's the news on Mark Andrews? Is he healthy, or do I need to stash a backup tight end?
He's gonna play. If he plays, you play him. He's healthy. He's active. He's gonna play.
He's going to play.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's active. There's no need for a backup because he plays in less than 40 minutes, and so he's already been declared to play.
Yeah, so the active inactive list for people who don't know, it's due in 90 minutes before kickoff, so it usually trickles out to news stuff about 85 minutes before kickoff. So that's why, you start to get this flurry of active inactive reports in the morning. Early morning on the West Coast, late morning on the East Coast.
Yeah, we are on the West Coast, so we get up pretty early.
West Coast, Best Coast, baby.
Not when I'm up at 7 a.m. to make this stream, but yes.
I realize that I'm just going to be up at 7 a.m. every day anyways. The puppy usually wakes me up before 7 a.m., even on the weekends, and I was like, sweet, puppy's not here. The older dog, she usually sleeps in. Nope, older dog decided to let me get up before 7 a.m. yesterday.
Yeah, and then, I'm still wired. Similar, I'm still wired for having little kids, and even though I don't have kids anymore and my tweens are sleeping in, I get up at 6 a.m. and I'm like, gotta do stuff, which makes the Europe games really nice. The overseas games. It's nice to have a show on at 6 a.m.
The Europe games are nice because I get up, I make my coffee, I sit down, I start watching it. and then either it's a good game and I'm awake, or it's a bad game and I could go to sleep. But then we decided to do the starter sit show every Sunday, so I have to be awake anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Who would you rather have? Chase Edmonds or Tajay Spears?
Ty I'm not a Chase Edmonds fan. I do like Sean Tucker. Go get Sean Tucker, because Rashad White is bad. He's not a good football player.
Yeah. Chase Edmonds is bad too. He's not a good football player.
Ooh, don't let Walker hear you.
Well, he's not as bad as Rashad White.
Yeah, they're a big acolyte.
I got to write the player profile for Rashad White. That was one of the more particularly enjoyable ones. Where I'm like,
That's a good one.
here's a YouTube video called his best plays. And the first play, he runs into the line for a loss of one. Second play, he catches the ball in the flat for no gain. And I'm like, this is his best plays, man. This is billed as his best plays. This guy sucks. Would you do Tucker? Oh, this is a good follow-up question, Captain Crunch. Would you do Tucker over Spears?
No, because we saw last week, even if Derrick Henry is healthy, Spears has a role. I think if something happens to Rashad White where he gets demoted or what have you, it could be a messier path to Sean Tucker having value. So in that case, I would rather have Spears than Tucker. Because last week he played more snaps than Derrick Henry.
Oh,
Yeah, what were you saying before that question? Because I was gonna.
I don't remember.
Nobody remembers.
Rashad White sucks.
Oh yeah. So when I do the college scouting before the draft, I usually here's a little tip for people. If you want to watch a player, you put in, like, say for example, Marvin Harrison Jr. versus Michigan, and you put that into YouTube, and there'll be a ton of cut ups. Or you just put in Marvin Harrison Jr. versus, and I'll have a ton of cut ups of the player versus that team. Like each game, broken up by game. And if they don't have that, that's a big red flag. Another big red flag is if all they have is a highlight reel, and it's 2 minutes long and 40 seconds of it is one play. That's a problem. That's a real problem.
So did
So that's,
Rashad White fail both those tests?
yeah, Rashad White. Well, they're should I get spicy? According to certain corners of the internet, Rashad White is better than Bijan Robinson, which is one of the stupidest things I've ever heard.
I said Rashad White's only utility is if I need to fall asleep in the middle of a meth binge.
Rashad White is he's good for I don't know, he's a good, like, third quarter of the preseason back.
That's not useful for fantasy. When are we going to have fantasy football preseason leagues?
They have for fantasy football preseason DFS. And
Wow.
I've always contended that if you do that, you need to go outside,
Wow. How
touch grass.
what's even the strategy for that?
Guys who are gonna touch the ball a lot, who are explosive. So you're fifth wide receivers that are, like, third, fourth round picks. I'm sorry, fourth, fifth round picks that are just explosive guys, because their athleticism will play out versus the guys that are bums at the bottom of the roster.
Wow, way to make gambling boring, DFS
I can't
people.
believe I know that. I hate preseason DFS. I hate the things that are inside my head.
No, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. I could have so much more useful knowledge if I didn't just, have to have the periodic table of elements memorized for no real reason.
Like, I was listening to, like I mentioned, that Empire podcast, and I was like, wow, they know so much. Like, they have so much of this knowledge inside their head. And I was like, I remember when I used to have that knowledge about history. Now it's like stuff like like the Christian Kirk Travis Etienne stat that I had. Like, that's of no benefit to me or society.
What stat is that?
That was the one that Christian Kirk had fewer routes run out wide than Travis Etienne last week.
Whoa. Hey, tell me about this Empire podcast because my sons are obsessed with the geography of empires right now. Like
Uh,
obsessed with it.
so they spend it's two historians. They start off. I've only listened to the first season. They're two British historians. One is an Indian lady who lives in London, and one is a British guy who lives in India. And they start off talking about starting around the early 1800s with the British in India because that's their area of study. They go up through partition, which is, if you don't know, that's the term for when India split into East and West Pakistan, which later became Pakistan and Bangladesh. And that's season one. That's all that I've listened to. Season two is the Ottoman Empire. Season three, I believe, goes back to the British. Hold on, let me double check. Season three hold on, I'm scrolling through my podcast. This is good. Oh yeah, season three is just an aside about the Mau Mau, in Kenya. It's 2 episodes. Season four is about the history of slavery. So that might not be the best for your kids. Season five is about the Russian Empire and the Great Game, and that's what they're on right now.
I don't know. My kids are fifth grade, and that's the one of the standards is talk about slavery a lot. So,
Well, what I learned, I watched this video from PragerU was that it was good
oh God,
actually for the slaves.
it was like job
Um,
training.
yeah, it was job training. To use when, where, job training for what? PragerU. Tony says, Jeff want to start a history podcast. I was actually going to start a history podcast during the height of the quarantine. But my buddy had me do a bad action movie podcast instead, and that one kind of petered out. But it was going to be called History for Everybody. I actually have a ton of notes about the first what the first episode was going to be. It was going to be at the about the Avignon papacy and the multiple popes. That's somewhere.
The multiple popes.
Yeah, they had a pope. So I want to say it was like the 10, like around 1,000 or BCE. I'm sorry, CE. The popes were like, they were like party boys, and so they went to Avignon in southern France, and then they were like, hey, we like being in southern France. We don't like being in the Rome. It's all boring and stuffy. And then they started to gain power in southern France, and there became like almost like a Vatican II. And then the Pope died, and then there was like all these cardinals in southern France who were like, well, we want this guy to be Pope. And then there were people in the Vatican who were like, hold on, you don't get to decide that. We get to decide. And then for a while there were multiple popes.
Uh, so got some questions now. Welcome to the chat, Ken. First of all, Rashad Penny appeared on your cut list. What are you saying about our man?
I'm saying that Rashad Penny is clearly the number 4 back there. Healthy scratch in week 1. In week 2, they were down to 2 running backs after Kenny Gainwell got his concussion, and he touched the ball like 6 times.
Half PPR.
I mean, DeAndre Swift had that big game because they didn't want to give the ball to Rashad Penny, and because DeAndre Swift is that good. So
half PPR pick 2. AJD at Atlanta in a dome. Monty versus Seahawks in a dome. Gibbs versus Seahawks in a dome.
I would go Gibbs and AJ Dillon did not look good last week.
He did not look
But
good for a large part of his career.
yeah, but I'm also thinking that like he's clearly the best player on that offense right now because no Christian Watson, no Aaron Jones, so it's gonna be a lot of AJ Dillon. I don't believe in Romeo Dobbs or Dubs or Dubes. I still refuse to learn how to say his last name. I don't believe in him. Like everybody's like, oh, he had 2 touchdowns last week on 4 catches for 26 yards. Let's see. So I would say Gibbs versus any of those guys are good starts. I think Dave Montgomery scores a touchdown. You know what? Go to the Lions, guys. F it. YOLO. Giga Maggies. I don't know. I'm trying to think of enthusiastic things to say. You can't go outside right now. My dog wants to go. My dog wants to go outside. She wants to go chase some birds.
So a Griff 0 wants to know, looking at your crystal ball, is Jay Reed going to pop in the next 2 weeks, or is he at the whim of Love's ability? What are you expecting out of Zay Jones moving forward? Was it all Houston game script?
Man. So Jaden Reed. I think it's too early to tell about Jaden Reed. I like to have like 2 games of information on a rookie or a guy in a new situation before I really feel good about making a full blown statement about them. But it is a lot that let's see. I want to speak specifically on what he did last week. So last week Jaden Reed had 5 targets, 2 receptions, 48 yards. I think that, that's okay for a rookie in his first game. It's not something where I'm super excited about it, especially with Christian Watson out. So it's more likely that we see when Watson comes back that Jaden Reed gets a little bit put to the side, de-emphasized. So I would say that probably not feeling too great about Jaden Reed, but I do want to see some more information. Like, I'm very interested to see how he does this week. Zay Jones moving forward. I wrote about this week where Zay Jones seems to be the number 2 wide receiver, and Christian Kirk very clearly just the slot guy. That doesn't make a lot of sense because, as we were talking about on the podcast this week, Christian Kirk is a better football player than Zay Jones. He just is. So this idea that Christian Kirk is going to be relegated to just the slot is a little head scratching.
Yeah, it's overreaction to one game and disregarding all of last season.
Yeah, he is a better, like I said, he is a better football player than Zay Jones. So Zay Jones, I think, Zay Jones had a high floor last year. I think he's worth having on your roster in that like bye week wide receiver 3 fill-in type thing, but I don't think he's going to be like a top 20 wide receiver this season.
Right. Upgrading that. Oh, I have way too many characters here.
So we've got AK Magic asking, I shouldn't start Algier over Demont. No. Start Demont. David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs are both good starts this week. So, especially in full PPR. Let's go.
And Minnie's back. I'm really learning things because Kirk Zay thoughts are the exact same thoughts I have. They can't just ditch him one weekend.
Yeah.
Not at like, what is he getting, 15 million a year?
Yeah, not around here, partner.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, have you seen that video, Evan? It's a TikTok, so maybe not.
No.
There's a TikTok video where somebody goes, "You are overfeeding your cats. This is how much you should be feeding your cat," and people are stitching it with videos of their fat cats, and there's a clip of a guy going, "Not around here, partner. Not around here."
21 million a year?
Too much.
What?
Yeah, they're paying him too much for that to be his role. That's why I'm like,
What?
that's what has me scratching my head. But anyways, we say "not around here, partner" at work a lot now. So I've been walking around work all week saying "not around here, partner," and oh my god, Geno Smith style.
I think Indianapolis' secondary is underrated too. They played Jacksonville last week.
That's fine. That's fair.
Whereas they get Kansas City's always mid secondary this week. So
You're calling.
you have to look it up.
I can't think of a player on the Chiefs secondary off the top of my head.
Yep.
What do you want? My pets are going off this morning. I think because my wife isn't here. Come here. Who wants to see the cat? Hello, cats.
Hooray.
She likes to be in my lap. If you listen to the podcast, you can hear her bell jingling all the time, and occasionally her meows because whenever I'm at my desk, she wants to be in and around my whole situation.
Kirk's cap hit is only 11 million this year.
Only 11.
Jump to 24 million next year. What the hell?
In that case, my man's getting quarterback numbers next year.
Wow. Yeah, they're not planning to keep underutilizing him like they did in week 1.
Could go up to 21 million with incentives. Maybe they're saving money.
I don't know. Travis Trevor Lawrence is gonna just win. So
All he
whoever's
does is
open.
win.
He goes through
I
like fourth and fifth reads and all the footage I watch. You know how big I am on him. Like the dude can read the field.
He's good. This Travis Etienne fella. He's or Travis Etienne. This Trevor Lawrence fella. He's good. You seen this? You heard about this? Um, yeah, bulky galaxy braining is right. AK Magic.
What's
I wa-
Gilbaki?
I warned I warned Jags fans about Trent Bulky. He's not a good GM. He's a bad GM actually. And then he went out and gave Christian Kirk way too much money to be playing Zay Jones as much as he is.
Is he still GM?
Yeah, of the Jags.
Huh.
Of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I saw a Wendy's commercial yesterday that I swear had Urban Meyer in it. It was all college
No,
football coaches.
no, that's Wendy, the Wendy's girl.
Oh,
I
okay.
know that Urban Meyer looks a lot like her, but that's
He
actually
does.
Wendy, the
The
Wendy's girl.
pigtails are really they're similar. Oh, good
Is
because I don't want to see Urban Meyer on my TV ever again.
it was for as an NFL head coach, was Urban Meyer or Jim Tom Sula worse?
Urban
What do you
Meyer.
think,
Urban Meyer
Urban
was a
Meyer? Yeah.
circus starting in June. We were like, what are you doing? This is circus level antics. What is going on? Tom Sula was just he didn't get wins out of a strong team.
Yeah, well, there was also those things where like Urban Meyer was like, I want to get that player and that player and that player, and they're like, you want to get Kyle Pitts? Like you can get Trevor Lawrence or Kyle Pitts. You can't have both. You're like, what do you mean?
Ken says Urban Meyer, he kicked his own players. Yeah.
He did.
He stayed behind in Cleveland, was videotaped doing all that stuff after they lost.
Yeah.
Like when you
AK Magic has a good question about Alexander Madison. I would say that you want to trade Alexander Madison, but as of right now, he's at his lowest value. Um, so I would say wait for him to have a big game, and then you can get more than a bag of peanuts against him. And then your sales pitch is the Eagles and the Buccaneers have two of the best run defenses in the league. Once he played an okay run defense, he popped off. Let's see. Alexander Madison. Let's look at his schedule. Upcoming schedule is he plays the Chargers next week, then Carolina, then KC. Then ow! Sorry, my cat just bit me
why?
because I was petting her, and cats do
It's
that sort
because
of
you're
thing.
not feeding them enough.
Not around here, partner. She's free fed. She can eat as much as she wants whenever she wants.
Wow.
Uh, um. Anyways, sometime maybe after the Carolina game, you can move off of Alexander Madison. Try trading him then, because he does have some rough matchups throughout the year. He plays the Niners run defense. He plays the Saints run defense. So, just a thought.
Morning, Lady Sandry.
Lady Sandry, hello.
She wants to know start two, one RB and one flex, half PPR. Gabe
Okay.
Davis versus Las Vegas, McKinnon versus Jacksonville, Marquise Brown versus the Giants, Dalvin Cook versus Dallas, Kelly versus Tennessee. So first, let's pick a running back: McKinnon, Dalvin Cook, or Kelly.
That's what
Half
I was going to
PPR.
do. I was going to say, let's start with running back. I would start Josh Kelly out of those options. So then in the flex, I would say probably I would go with Hollywood Brown.
That's where it gets tough.
That is where it gets tough. Josh Kelly's the easy part. Um, Hollywood Brown versus the Giants. Oh, Giants, we learned nothing about them last week because it was a boat race. I think you can go with Marquise Brown. Um, it's tough though. I don't trust. You know what? Go upside. Go Gabe Davis. Screw it. Yeah. See, me and AK Magic at the same time. Pretend it's best ball and start Gabe Davis after he catches an 85-yard touchdown. So yeah, I would say Gabe Davis go YOLO upside. Hollywood Brown is going to get you like 6 fantasy points, 7 fantasy points if he doesn't score a touchdown.
It's really nice that the Giants get Arizona to beat up on after losing 40 to nothing.
Yeah, they get a nice rebound. Although the Commanders almost lost to them, so
Yeah, that is true.
that could
Arizona
be
just mess
two
up taking.
teams picking in the top 5. Hey, John Metchie is officially active and making his debut after missing all last year with leukemia.
Oh,
Let's
whom does John
go.
Mechie play for?
He is a Houston Texan.
Nice. Well, that's nice.
Uh, I'm scrolling through see if there's any news. Um, Jim or JM Thrive PT, Jeff Mueller, physical therapist, posted a video of DeAndre Hopkins. Seems to be moving well off his left ankle, granted at 50, 60% speed, avoiding in DFS, but still worth a wide receiver 3 or a flex play. So,
Mike V wants to know, hey Mike, Jerry Jeudy or Traylon Burks?
whew, Mike asking the tough questions. I would say Jerry Jeudy.
I say Jude him while you got him.
You say what?
Jude him while you got him. He's not going to last for long
There you go.
with the hamstring. So might as well. And he was wide receiver 18 on the lowest scoring offense in the league last year. So he's,
Yeah, so it's like the Broncos might be bad, but they can be bad, and Jerry Jeudy can still
yep,
get his.
can still get his. Did you have an in-person draft this year?
I had a Scott Fishbowl in person draft, and
Whoa.
then a yeah, they have in person drafts in in major cities. So I went down to San Francisco, drafted with some folks down there, and then in at the Fantasy Sports Expo, or Fantasy Football Expo, I had a live draft for Draft Night Out, which I do every year. So I had a couple. They were fun. My home league we're spread too far. We're spread to the 5 wins,
How
so we
was the
can't.
expo?
It was good. It's getting bigger and bigger every year. It was wild. It was funny because uh, uh, Des Bryant was kind of like he was a very everything's orbited around Des Bryant being there. So that was fun. Saw some folks. Um, same old, same old. I had to leave early because my flight got canceled into St. Louis. Uh, and so I had to reschedule a flight in through. Where did I fly through? I want to say, I went through Chicago again. That left at 6 o'clock in the morning, and so I had to leave Canton at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Wow. Did you go to the auction panel?
Yeah, it was. They didn't say anything super egregious.
Okay.
Stuff, stuff I disagree with, but not something super egregious.
Okay. Uh, AK Magic wants to know, Jeff, should I still feel confident in my core of Saquon, AJB, Mark Andrews, Ridley in a 12-team PPR league? Other players I have are Demont, Madison, Addison, Algier, and RB Handcuff. So that is a really good
That's
team.
a, that's a good team.
What the hell?
That's a really good team. You've got 2 top 12 wide receivers in Ridley and AJB. Mark Andrews, top 3 tight end at worst. Saquon and Demont are both great guys. Algier is a good guy to have. Addison, I think, will pop off
Okay, so
this
this is
season. So
a sit one. Which of these would you sit? Miles Sanders, David Montgomery, Brees Hall, PPR.
which one do I sit?
Yeah, start two. Miles Sanders, David Montgomery, Brees Hall.
Hold on. Let me look up who they're playing. So Sanders is playing New Orleans. Hall is playing Dallas, and who is the third one?
David Montgomery.
Montgomery. I'm gonna say that's a really tough question.
I'm in for Hall. New York was running it on the one drive against Dallas before all the wheels fell off.
So
So,
did you say you're in on Hall?
yeah, that's my one sure start personally. Then I'm
I would
waffling
then
between Sanders and Montgomery.
yeah, Sanders has the worst matchup. So I'll say sit Miles Sanders out of those three. But that's a good problem to have.
Yes, it is. Oh, okay, we have another one. Start one full PPR. Brees Hall or Puka Nacua?
Brees Hall.
Yeah,
Puka is hurt. He's going to get a bunch of targets, but what we saw last week is probably the best of Puka. So I against the 49ers defense, I don't I'm going to lean away from that.
yeah, definitely agreed. I think Brees Hall is going to do better than people expect. I mean, he averaged 50 yards a carry last week, so maybe not, but Dallas is not like that great against the run.
Yeah,
How dead is New York Jets quarterback? Well, I forget
how dead?
Zach Wilson. How dead is he?
Not. I mean, he's not dead. I mean, he did get to play behind Aaron Rodgers, so or he
How
learned
dead
from
is
it.
he against the Dallas front four?
Very.
Yeah, I'm gonna be
I
watching
mean,
that
he's.
one.
I mean, he's. I'm gonna do a curse. He's fucking Zach Wilson. He sucks. I mean, I'm sorry. There's, the his upside is Sam Howell
But at least he
at this
won't. At
point.
least he won't miss a wide open Garrett Wilson on a three-step drop.
He does that every single three step drop.
Well, he learned from the best. So yeah. What are people doing
He,
with their Garrett Wilson shares?
I mean, he's still a top 24 wide receiver. You can't trade him. If you trade him, you're going to get pennies on the dollar. In a three wide receiver league, you're not benching him.
AK
You're
Magic
stuck.
said, I almost spent fab on Zach Wilson in the Experts League before I came to my senses, which is a good question. Superflex 14 team league. Is Zach Wilson rosterable?
Superflex 14 team league. Every quarterback with a pulse is rosterable.
Yeah. Now,
The
if you
only
want to spend fab on him, probably not.
yeah, it's more of like, oh, he's still available. Let me go get him.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah,
I hope Mark Andrews does well today. I'll be watching the game with my sons.
yeah.
Baltimore was the key to getting them interested in televised sports, which is a real easy way for fathers to bond with their sons.
Say
Real
that
easy.
again. I missed that.
Baltimore, watching the Ravens was a really great way to get them into watching all televised sports, and that is like the easiest way to bond with sons as a dad.
All right.
You know, you don't have to like play some board game with stupid rules or puppet show nonsense. You just watch the game and then you've bonded. It's good stuff.
Perf-
Yeah.
Perfect.
So, but if
Uh,
Baltimore chokes, they'll not like televised sports as much.
no, I don't think they will. You know. So, I think that's it. It's 9:50. Do we have any last minute questions?
Any last minute questions? We'll give you a minute to rattle that off, and then we'll go be with our loved ones, i.e., our fantasy football players.
I was gonna say I'm gonna be by myself,
You're going to be with
but
your fantasy men, man.
I'm gonna be with my fantasy boys.
Yeah.
So alrighty, well,
Captain
um,
Crunch, I give you the blessing. Sure.
can I get
I
the
don't know if there's a follow up, but yes.
in the name of the Father, the Son, and the football absurdity?
All right. Any final words? Summarize what you
Uh,
expect from this week in one word.
pain.
Football.
All right.
All
Bye,
right.
everybody.
Bye,
Good luck to
everybody.
everybody. Have a great week two, and we'll be back next week.
Bye. I should promote this a little